Okay, so as you can see here, we are at lesson 6.7. Why? Because lesson 6.6 goes over dilations of lines, and for tomorrow's class, we are going to be working on mid segments and specifically constructions and some other things. So um, this lesson itself is labeled 6.6, but once everybody's finished watching the video and everything, by the end of the week it'll be switched back over to 6.7, and there'll be a new 6.6 that actually reflects that particular lesson. Okay, so this is 6.7. So this is like a preliminary introduction to mid-segment constructions. And although you may or may not have a compass, this is just a preliminary video where you're going to look at the construction, make sense of it, and write down the steps. You're going to summarize those steps, okay? So in a mid segment, right? A mid segment has endpoints that are actually the midpoints of the sides. So they're at the endpoints in a mid segment are the midpoints of those sides. So for this, it says, and so for this particular lesson, you're going to construct mid segments and then eventually construct dilations outside of the plane. So it says, given this triangle ABC, construct the mid-segment parallel to AC. So I know I'm going to want a segment that is going to be parallel to AC, which is AC is this right here. So for a line to be or a segment to be parallel to that, it has to be in a certain place. And I know that that particular segment is going to have a midpoint on segment AB and a midpoint on segment BC that's going to actually connect and then be parallel to AC. Now, in order for me to figure out where that is, all I literally have to do is bisect side AB and bisect side BC. How do I bisect? So this is a blast from the past. Remember, we're going to construct the bisector of AB. So we really want to take our compass and we want to have it in such a way where it's not, we want to extend it beyond the center. Okay, so it's not quite in the center here. All right, it's a little bit beyond the center, and I'm just going to make an arc, move the paper, okay, and then I'm going to, keeping the same setting, I'm going to make another arc. Oh, that went left. Keeping that same setting, let's just do that. All right. So I need an eraser. Just give me a second. Get an eraser and just fix that up. Okay. So I have bisected this line because what I'm going to do now is take the intersections and connect them, and that will tell me where the midpoint is. Again, sorry about that. So by connecting these, it will tell me where the midpoint is, which is right here. Okay, so I'm going to name that point P. Okay. Then I need to do the exact same thing. So whether or not I keep the setting the same doesn't matter. Okay, but I am, just because I want it to be perfect. Not that it wouldn't if you didn't keep the setting the same. So we're going to go ahead and actually you can't keep the setting the same. Why? Because if you keep the setting the same, you're not going to be able to extend the pencil piece of your compass beyond the halfway mark. And you must extend it beyond the halfway mark. I say right about anywhere beyond the halfway mark. I'm going to do it right about here. And then I'm going to make an arc. I'm going to did that there. Then keeping the setting the same, I'm going to make another arc. Okay. Now, if I notice that they don't intersect, I can always draw this arc down a little bit more. Okay. And then where they intersect, bam. And so we have point P and point R, I'm going to call it. I made up these. All right, now again, do not get rid of construction marks. You want to keep them where they are, okay? And the last thing that you're doing is connecting point P and point R. All right, so I'm just going to connect those. I'm going to use the pencil to do that. So I'm going to connect these two. And once I do that, I have a line, or rather a segment, that is parallel to segment AC, and that is the mid-segment for triangle ABC. Now, to summarize those steps, even though you weren't able to do these steps here, what you're responsible for is the summary. Okay, so the summary is what you're responsible for, okay? The first step was to construct the midpoint of segment AB, then construct the midpoint of segment BC, and then connect the midpoints, and then you want to indicate parallelism, all right? That's an important one that I actually did here and here. All right, there is a part 2 to this video because there was one homework question that a lot of kids were asking me about on the homework that was assigned today. So I'm going to make a part 2 that will go over that. Alrighty, bye.